There has been so much speculation and back and forth about what's going on with the conflict in Iran. At any given moment, it's hard to tell whether we're inching forward towards a resolution of this conflict or actually, in fact, we're inching backwards towards a resumption of wider hostilities. We know that President Trump and the US administration want the American people and they want markets to feel as though there's optimism that they're going to reach a deal, that this memorandum of understanding that's been floating out there for a couple weeks now is actually nearly resolved. But this is not a reality television show we are watching. This is reality.
Thank you.
While we all want to sort of stream to the next episode where we find out what happens, it's not the case that Trump can control all eventualities. You know, he posted earlier this week that we should just sit back and relax and let things resolve. They always do. But it's not that he has control over everything. There are misalignments and mistrust that runs rife between these parties and has been going that way since all the way back to last year. So I don't personally have a ton of optimism at this moment. We know that Iran's foreign minister Araghi said that there has basically been no further progress on negotiations. And we still have a lot of runway ahead of us before we're going to actually see some sort of deal here.
Do we have a sense of kind of who on the U.S. side is kind of driving the conversation forward?
Thank you, Paul.
Is it the administration? Is it the State Department, which I think that's their job? Or is it a couple of lawyers from New York?
Well, Paul, I mean, I think we always have to resort to mean here that it is Donald Trump and the Donald Trump show. We, of course, saw Secretary of State Marco Rubio involved in testimony yesterday, and he is obviously driving the State Department's emphasis and efforts in that way. But in terms of the negotiations themselves, we know that last week Trump called his cabinet and said, I want to review the deal that's on the table. I have some further comments that I want to raise with the Iranian delegation around Iran's nuclear program, around the Strait of Hormuz, these major outstanding issues. And it seems as though neither the U.S. nor Iran are eager to be the first one to raise their hand and say, we will approve this deal. And that's really where things stand. It is this mistrust and miscalculation. The two sides have not agreed upon these open issues, either the sort of near-term pressing ones like the Strait of Hormuz, nor the longer-term ones that have been outstanding forever, like Iran's nuclear program, what happens with its enriched uranium. And they also don't even agree about whether they're willing to talk about certain issues, right? We're not hearing anymore about Iran's missile program. Trump last week said that Gulf states need to sign up to the Abraham Accords. That went over like a lead balloon. So we are continuing to see that these two sides are really talking past each other, even though the market forces want there to be a deal, and even though the administration wants the market to believe that a deal is impending.
I've been so waiting for you, Lindsay, to come on at Chatham House in London, because the Telegraph in London a number of days ago did an extraordinary article. This is Qasra Arabi and Saeed Golkar talking about the two new unknown leaders of the IRGC. And within that, without going into this incredibly intense article about the new future of the Iranian military, from where you sit, do you have a knowledge base of the new leadership of the IRGC?
Yeah, I mean, what we know, Tom, I mean, obviously, I should say caveat that Sanam Vakil at Chatham House is our lead expert on Iran, and she's best positioned to talk about that. But what we do know is that Iran took away a lot of lessons learned from last year's June operation against it, also led by Israel and the U.S., and quickly and sort of looked to do a very intensive postmortem and reorganize various components, including the IRGC, including its military capabilities, including its leadership structure and plans going forward.
Right.
And we've seen that in action over the course of Operation Epic Fury, right? So the fact that the U.S. has pursued all of this degradation on Iran's missile capabilities, perhaps some of its nuclear capabilities, its naval capabilities, has not necessarily translated, as we know, into Iran being overall degraded. The regime remains very much intact, although what we know is it's been sort of more diversified, dispersed across the country. It's sort of in a more of guerrilla style approach. It has also been maybe perhaps de-emphasizing some of the more ideological components in instead of pursuing this new leadership structure, pursues more of a sort of nationalistic approach to leadership. And what that means is Iran has been able to develop and pursue very intensive tools of leverage, including over the Strait of Hormuz, which it sort of is its new tool going forward beyond even its nuclear capabilities, even as we think that perhaps Iran is going to continue to pursue its nuclear program.
Just one more quick question. We got confabs. We got, I think, Paul, NATO's in Turkey.
Yep.
There's G7 somewhere.
Coming up in France. Yep.
Give us, Lindsay, an allied update in their relationship, the traditional allies' relationship with the President of the United States.
Yeah, so we know that Trump has said that he is going to the G7 meetings in just a couple weeks' time. It will be an interesting dance that we're going to be watching. We know, of course, that the relationships there have been strained. There hasn't actually been a lot of news-breaking, public-facing conversations between the sides of late. It's all sort of been mostly back-channeling, but there is tension there that has not been resolved. It's interestingly enough, we see today that the UK, Germany, and France are talking about developing their own track to have conversations with Putin about resolving the war with Ukraine. That just shows that Europe is getting the message that the US is not going to be participating in the same way that has always been historically participating since the post-Cold War period, and that facts are moving on. And that doesn't mean that Europe is willing to jump into supporting Trump and the US administration in Iran, but it does mean that we should be watching this very closely to see how this dance plays out.